Hey everyone, Paddy from Smart Air here, and today I'm going to show you a little bit about the testing method we've been using for testing these DIY materials. So without further ado, let's get started and I'll introduce you to the Smart Air wind tunnel that we've built. The way this works is we've got two fans in there. We've got one fan here at the entrance and another fan here in the middle. The reason we use two fans is so that we can get a high enough pressure drop across the material. And here at the end of the wind tunnel, we have that material. So right now we're testing a bandana, which is clamped here onto the wind tunnel. Other side of the material, we have our Met1 GT521. That's really doing all the hard work in this experiment. This is what's measuring the number of tiny 0.3 and 1.0 micron particles coming out of this material. We also have an anemometer here. We use this to make sure that the air coming through each material is a constant 0.3 meters per second. So why 0.3 meters per second? Good question. That's actually roughly on average the speed of the air coming in and out of our mouth as we're breathing. So we wanted to pick a realistic speed that's kind of in line with the speed that we breathe. Okay, so that's the equipment. And how does this experiment work? One more piece of equipment. We also have this particle counter here at the start of the wind tunnel. So that's just giving us an indication of the number of particles going into this wind tunnel. So I'm saying particles, where are all these particles coming from? What pollution are we using to measure for this experiment? Actually, we're just using the ambient air pollution in the air. So as we're breathing, there's actually thousands, if not millions, of tiny particles in the air. And that's what we're using to test here. So this is just going to give us an indication of the number of particles at the start and throughout the test. So we can make sure it's constant, make sure our test is fairly controlled. So the way that it works, the first thing we want to do is we want to turn on our two fans. You can probably hear those now on the video. Those two fans are turned on. And we'll want to use the anemometer. Let's just move that one out of the way. We'll want to use this anemometer to measure the speed of the air coming through this wind tunnel and make sure we can get that at 0.3 meters per second. Once we've done that, once we're happy with that, actually the next thing to do is we want to turn off the fans and we want to take this material off. I'm not going to do that now, but we'll take the material off and then we'll test the number of particles in the air using the Met1 without the material. So this is just the number of particles we would be breathing, imagine, if we didn't have this material on our face. Once we've done that, we put the material back on. We turn on the fans again, and then we measure the number of particles coming through this material, again using the Met1. You can imagine this is the situation where we've got the material on our face. And what do we do once we have those two numbers? We take the difference and we work out just exactly the number of particles that this material is filtering. And that's essentially what there is to our experiment. Of course, it's a little bit more complicated when we get down to it. We make sure that we run repeated tests and we control some of the input variables like the particle count of the air going into the tube. But in short, in just a few minutes, that's a quick overview of how we run this experiment. Hope that's been useful for you, and we hope that this open data is going to prove useful in protecting people from COVID-19 right now. Stay safe, everyone, and breathe safe.